We want to thank everyone for coming out today. We want to thank Still Meadow Church for once again being our gracious host. We want to say thank you to the mayor, to City Council, to our GVI partners, and all of our local leaders here today. I want to thank my team, the men and women who continue to get up every day, get behind me, despite the daily demands of the job, despite the new ideas, as harebrained as they may seem at times, and the asks that I make of you, despite all the hard work that goes unseen and often unnoticed. You continue to come in and put it all on the line each and every day, and I appreciate that. And I want to take a second to thank you publicly for it. I want to thank and acknowledge the residents, the business owners, clergy, and the people in the room who are here representing congregations, classrooms, community centers that have had to duck down, shelter in place, hide their kids and customers in closets because of random gunfire outside their windows. Gunfire from individuals with no regard for their surroundings or the people who live there. But most of all, I want to thank the victims and the families that are here today, who came out, the ones that are left behind, that came out to support, who live with the weight of these tragedies. Thank you for coming out to hear what we have to say today. I thank you all for your time. It's so appropriate that we gather today in this room, a place where we've assembled on many occasions to announce new initiatives aimed at building stronger relationships with the community. A place where just last night we came together to discuss our newest program and prevention strategy, keeping our kids alive, focused on that very thing. More graduations and less funerals, as Miss Tiff often says. We gather together as friends, we gather together as colleagues, we gather together as people who at times have differing opinions, but above all else, we gather together as people, as families, as a community who has experienced the pain and heartbreak at the hands of this epidemic, an epidemic of senseless gun violence. We are people who want to see it end, and that's what we have in common. Now, make no mistake, we've done some great work over the course of this year, and despite the trajectory of violence across this nation, with a rise in shootings in places and in areas that have never really had to contend with incidents like that before in the past, we continue to see declines in our city. Declines in the number of shooting incidents, declines in the gunfire during the day, and no increases in our homicides. This year alone, our department has seized a record number of guns and took a high number of shooters off the street. And approximately 1/3 of all these guns seized were done by a very, very small team of individuals that worked primarily during the daytime. A street unit consisting of approximately 4 to 5 officers, led by very skilled, uniquely qualified supervisors, using proactive precision policing strategies aimed at getting guns out of the hands of would-be shooters and deterring violent crime. Every gun seized and every would-be shooter taken off the street represents lives saved, families who aren't devastated by the loss of a loved one. But as the people in this room, yes. But as the people in this room, no one would agree, any loss of life is still too much for you, and it's still too much for us. So with that said, everywhere I go, from church to home, to my neighbor's house, to the store, everyone wants to know the same thing. What else are we looking to try? What else are we willing to do? What else are we going to bring to the table? What's next? Come on up to the front, please. Well, we want people to know we've heard you and we're listening. And here's what's next. We're doubling down on the strategies that are working and taking a page out of what's been successful in the past. It's time for us to stop working in the shadows. It's time for us to make it plain. It's time for our community to see that they're not alone. And for those would-be shooters to see what they have to contend with. It's time for them to know while they're out there looking for other people to target, there's going to be someone out there looking for them. And we put this team in a specialized uniform because we want to make sure what they do and who they are and what their work consists of is very obvious to anybody and everybody that sees it. We want them to serve as a deterrent whenever and wherever they go and represent a beacon of hope and stability for the great people that make up our neighborhoods and community. We've gone back and studied our numbers and crime data, and we know that while we've seen those significant declines during the day hours, we still have work to do, particularly in the hours of 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. So this unit you see before you, the Violence Intervention Unit, will have a presence all day, all evening, and all weekend, working in our neighborhoods, using those same precision policing strategies that made the previous team so successful. And as a part of this initiative, we're looking to add something new, where when they're out there, you as a community will be able to go with them, helping to guide them and direct their steps, rather than having to try to navigate through 911, which can be cumbersome at times, to get a hold, or trying to get a hold of myself or city leadership, or feel hesitant to provide information for fear of retaliation. This team will function with its own private hotline number. If you could please put it up. So our community can contact them directly via text, via phone call at any time of day, give them critical information, and steer them to the problems they see outside their windows in real time. So in conclusion, I gathered you all here today because we owe you, because I owe you, because we want our community to know what's next, that next big thing that we've queued up in our effort to make your streets as safe as you need them to be. So to the parents, we want parents to be able to feel comfortable as their children walk to school and to practice, so our seniors can sit on their well-earned porches in peace, so our visitors and the people who commute to work here can experience the beauty and York that we have to offer and decide that this great place is where they want to buy their next home and raise their family. And I promise you this, when and if we no longer need this level of intervention, when we see those overall declines, when the community gets back to where you all want to see it, I'll be the first person, once again, to reevaluate things, repurpose these talented team of individuals to help with all the other efforts and initiatives that make the way this department serves and functions so special, the things that make us the community partner that we want to be. But as for right now, sometimes you have to put your foot down. And this is us putting our foot down, and we're going green. Yeah. With that said, I'd like to turn this over and introduce Pastor Jim Tyson, the coordinator of the local GVI Group and Gun Violence Initiative, followed by Mayor Helfrich, Pastor Kearney, and Jameel Alexander. Thank you.
As the commissioner said, we have a new tool in the city's toolbox here. But we are still committed with our group violence initiative to the idea that we want people safe, alive, and free. We bring a message that we want to come and do whatever it takes to come around you and help you to make changes in your life so you are no longer involved in the violence within our city. That's still a commitment of ours. But we also tell you, when we give you that information and tell you exactly what the consequences will be if you continue in that behavior, that the police department will step in and they will do what they need to do. Shootings bring police, guns bring police. And if you continue in that vein, if you will not take advantage of the services and all the service providers and community members that are willing to wrap their arms around you to help you make those changes, if you continue to perpetuate violence within this city, then these guys are coming after you.
I asked Commissioner Muldrow what I was supposed to speak on today, and he said, "You'll know when you get up here." And while I didn't prepare anything, now I feel I have more to say than I have the time to say it in. But a couple of weeks ago, I was down in Washington, D.C. at the U.S. Conference of Mayors. I was sitting at a table with Mayor Lightfoot of Chicago, with Mayor Lucas, Kansas City, with mayors from all across the country, and experts like Commissioner Chuck Ramsey, some of you may have heard of, former police commissioner of Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., a person that I can call when I need help, and a great asset that I've gained through the U.S. Conference of Mayors. I sat in that meeting and I was just so proud. I was so proud of our commissioner and our police department and the vision that the commissioner has laid out for the city of York. Because everything that was being talked about, while it sounds unique and a little far out, as the commissioner says, it's not. This is what successful cities are doing. They're bringing in co-responders. They're bringing in mental health specialists to work with our police officers, because while our police officers are great, that's not their expertise. Their expertise is trying to keep us safe, but not necessarily knowing how to work with any individual with mental health problems. What they're doing is they're bringing in credible messengers all across the country. We have one city, I believe Mount Vernon, New York, saw an 87% reduction in violence after bringing in the credible messengers. Bringing in people that can speak directly with the young people in their community and talk to them from a place of not only empathy, of mutual experience. Everything I was honored. I was honored. The one gentleman, Chuck Wexler, said, "How many of your police departments are having problems hiring police officers right now?" And almost every mayor raised their hand. And then they said, "How many aren't having problems?" And I raised my hand along with two other mayors in an entire room of over 50 mayors. And then they put me on the spot and they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I didn't know I was going to be on the spot." And I said, "Well, our police commissioner, we've started taking applications personally in our department, and we left a consortium." That's just one item, but what's most important is Mike Davis and other officers reaching out directly to potential new officers and creating relationships before they become officers, and our new program that we hope with the support of City Council we will be bringing out very shortly, and that is the, I'm blanking, the police cadet program, where we give young people who have already been involved in emergency services schooling during high school with the assistance and cooperation of the York City School District. Thank you, Director Orr, and everyone from the school district. But now our young people who want to become police officers and firefighters are getting that training early on. But the time from 18 to 21, there's a gap there. Police commissioner said, let's start a cadet program where we fill that gap and give them the opportunity to work with our police department and work with the community. They won't yet be entrusted with the power to oversee and enforce the rules, but they'll have 3 years to learn from our police officers and our detectives, and have 3 years to work with the community, with the residents, build up those relationships before they're given the honor to serve as York City police officers. And when I explained that to the group, the experts were like, "You're fishing upstream." You're working your way the whole way upstream to 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and getting them involved that young to create and develop your community police department. A police department that, with the commissioner's assistance, we've gone from 9% women and minority in our police department to 20% in only 4 years. And we're not stopping there. We will have a police department that reflects our communities' demographics, that reflects our communities. And that's not saying that every single individual, every police officer, every person with a badge is not 100% for our community. But we just know in social circumstances, there is a benefit when your police department reflects the diversity of your community. So we are thankful and grateful to every police officer, but we also know that change is beneficial to our community. All of these things have been happening because we were blessed with Commissioner Muldrow.
Yeah.
I want to reiterate. This 2 weeks ago, while I'm at this conference, Commissioner calls me and says, we need a unit. We need a unit just for violence intervention. At first, it wasn't called violence intervention. We worked to that name. It didn't take us long to figure out what we were going to call the violence intervention unit. But we've seen success with our 4-person GVI unit, 3 officers and a sergeant, right? Taking 33% of the guns off the street, taking shooters off the street. Why would you not expand a program? Why would you not expand a program like this to work 24 hours a day? And these folks have stepped up. They have volunteered to be part of this unit. Again, a unit that isn't meant to, it's not what we want. It's not what anybody wants. We don't want to have to be forceful to enforce the laws, to take our young people off of our streets, to take them away from their families. But it's the secondary alternative when people will not take the assistance that is offered from many of the folks that are out here. I see Bishop Evans, I see Pastor Hunter, I see Margie Orr from the school district. We have people all that are offering from Lincoln Charter School, Dr. Clark. We are all offering assistance to these young people, and we hope they take it, and we hope that every one of you, if you're not already working with GVI, will step up and talk with Pastor Tyson to do so. But if not, we have a strong yet self-controlled force that is going to respectfully but diligently make our streets safer and take those that are not willing to work with us out of the group of us that want a peaceful community. And even once we take them away, we're going to still keep working to bring them back. I don't know if, right?
That's good, yeah.
Reentry?
Yeah.
We've got the York County Reentry Coalition. We're not here to abandon people. We're not here to kick people out permanently, but we've got to do these things. We've got to do these things to make it straight. Friends and neighbors, sorry I didn't see you over there, Robin, doing amazing work. So many people here doing amazing work to address every part of this. We're trying to get to them before they make mistakes. If we can't get them before they make mistakes, we're going to try and help them when they did make a mistake. If we still can't help them, we're going to have to remove them for a while. But after we've removed you for a while, we're here to take you back lovingly with help. That's what we've got to do as a community. And I'm just so proud that for the first time in my life, I'm watching every part of the circle come together.
Yes.
Every part of it is coming together. And every one of you that is here today, and every resident of the city of York has a role in that circle. So if somebody isn't here that should be here, please reach out to them. We need to build a little bit more on the community side of our group violence intervention initiative. We've got the enforcement side, We've got the enforcement side. We need a little bit more community. So the most successful group violence intervention systems within this country are those that are led by the community with the support of the police department. So we need more of you to step up. Please get in touch with Pastor Jim Tyson. Do a commercial quick, JTYSON @yorkcity.org. Jim Tyson. Please participate with the Group Violence Intervention Initiative, and working together, we can make this happen. We can actually help our young people and help our community be a safer place for all of us. Thank you.
Next, we're going to bring Jameel Alexander of the GVI Initiative and NAACP President.
Can y'all hear me? We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord. Thank y'all for being with me. Happy Black History Month. This is a blessing to be here and an honor to serve continuously with you, Commissioner. Been a part of it. I'm getting a little emotional because, like the mayor said, Commissioner like Jameel just come up, and I appreciate that because I don't take it for granted. Before the NAACP president, before anything else, thank God, working with Aspen Institute in DC. I was a knucklehead from Philadelphia coming through the criminal justice system as far as juvenile justice, and I want to kind of make a note that it can be done. And as much as this new initiative is here, Commissioner said something that really hit me and made me remember of the great Mr. Moody, may he rest in peace, who was my case manager at Youth Build Christmas Addicts AmeriCorps. And I'll never forget him telling me, use discipline to be disciplined. Don't wait for disciplinary actions to come. So those young people, the brothers, the sisters who I continue to serve at York High, Youth Build, Central, Susquehanna, those who are literally fighting, trying to find their identity and getting tangled in the entrapment of the street life. We're here to support, serve, understand, and show up. I want to appreciate Robin, Tiff, Pastor Jim, the whole GVI team, because it took us a long time to get here. WellSpan and its partners. Te quiero mucho, y'all. Y'all can see me on the rebound. Y'all already know. I love y'all. YC, stand up. Thank you.
Pastor Kearney of Black Ministers Association.
Commissioner said I would know what to say when I got up here. True that. There's wisdom in the midst of counselors. This is a wise man. This is a wise man. Look at what he assembled here today. I would like every pastor, clergy person to please stand right now. Clergy in the room. Church is community. Church is the community. We have never, ever ran from hard work. Our work is before us. Hear me. Our work is before us. We must keep God in the equation. Oh, an amen should have went right there.
Amen.
I'm preaching better than I'm getting amens, I know. We must continue to pray. Listen, these individuals' lives is at stake here. the criminal element, their lives is at stake here. We have to pray. We have to cover, and I thank God that Commissioner had the wisdom to bring community together so that we can accomplish this thing together. It's not I, it's a TEAM. Together, each achieves much. We're looking for outcome. We're looking to ensure the safety of our community. My hat's off to the City of York. Mayor, thank you. Thank you also for leading this initiative and funding this initiative. Councilwoman Sandy Walker, thank you. Thank you, City Council, for doing the things necessary to fund this initiative. We need to stick together as a community. As I stated, church is the community. We are one. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Commissioner, for having me. And we're going to do all that we can in our churches to communicate to our community what must be done to solve these issues. God bless you all.
So, obviously, people that know me, because I often say it a lot, I will generally often tell people that complicated problems, such as this, the violence in our neighborhoods, require holistic solutions. And that's what I think I'm most proud of from the men and women that I serve with. That's what I'm most proud of about the movement that's happening in this department. That's what I'm most proud of, and it has never been more evident than when you look around this room and you see the various agencies that are working together. You see the various churches that are in the room that are there at a moment's notice. You see the business community rallying around and supporting movements in the community and in the neighborhoods at street level like you do. Thank you, Kevin Schreiber, for coming. I have never been more hopeful than I am today. And most of all, again, I hope for the individuals in the room, and I'm going to try not to call you out, but you know who you are. For the individuals in the room that have been through this, like my family has been through this and lost someone, know that the things that you asked me, the things that you asked of me, of this department, they were heard. It didn't fall on deaf ears. And while I can't go back and save your loved one like I can't go back and save mine, we can make sure that somebody else's loved one isn't lost. And that's what's going to happen from this, and I appreciate it. Thank you all for coming. So I don't know if I'll throw it out there if anybody had any specific questions in the moment while we have the panel here. If not, I'm sure everybody will organically be around in the room for a little while that you'll be able to discuss with them, unless somebody has a pressing question that they would want to ask of somebody while we have everybody here in this moment. So I'll give that a brief second. And I also would like to say thank you to Detective Schaefer and Detective Nadzum, our supervisors who have got us this far and made this unit, made this an obvious resource that we needed to reinvest in. So. Brother Weinstock. I don't know if the question's for me, but I'll start out here. Great question. I'll bring Schaefer, if you can make your way up here. My expectation and my hope is that by magnifying the resource will be able to magnify the influence and the work product and the things that they've been able to do and the stuff that they've been able to prevent, we'll be able to expand that. So while we had no increase in homicides, next year when we reassemble this time, you'll see a significant decrease. While we had the heavy decrease during the daytime during shootings, now we want people to be able to go to sleep without the sound of bullets raining against their window pane. So that's what I want to see come from this. What we were able to do with 4 people, as you look across this room, I believe that the impact and what they'll be able to accomplish together will be obvious. But I will let Detective Schaefer, if you want to get into any specifics of how we function.
What we've done over the past year is we're concentrating on precision policing. We're looking at the individuals that we know are the shooters. We're not worried about the guy smoking a little bit of weed in the corner or doing a little littering out here. That's not who we're worried about. It's precision policing. That's based off of confidential sources that we receive, based off of intel that we get from the prison, and also based off of intel we get from social media. Those are the people that we're targeting.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
I just wanted to add one thing, and that was, and I forgot to say it because I was speaking on the run, but one of the things I asked the commissioner, and one of the things that came up at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, was to have a phone number where individuals that are out in the community, bus drivers, store owners, postal workers, individuals that are just out and about can call in directly and talk to the police officers, not necessarily with there's a crime that needs 911 right now, but I've seen this same person here multiple times, doing these things. And lo and behold, a couple weeks later, we have this number up here. So I want to make sure that I just reiterate it. Please, everybody, I don't know if you saw me, I was taking a picture of the screen here a second ago, but please, everybody, put this number in your phone. This is your direct contact. Sometimes, as the commissioner said, our administrative, a lot of people think, oh, we're going to call the non-emergency line at the police department. Well, that's really for administrative stuff. And then they call 911 and they're like, well, it doesn't seem to meet 911 standards. But this is where you can get your information directly to the folks that are walking the beat, that are on the streets, and will take your information and incorporate it in with all of the other information that they're receiving. So thank you for adding that after our conversation. I appreciate that.
Listen.
Commissioner, where will that number be answered? Will these officers all have cell phones and be on the receiving end of that phone number? Where's that number going to be answered?
When the unit is assembled and they're on the street, because obviously they'll be divided up at different times, but when the units are assembled and they're on the street, that will literally be a working number that's in that undercover, in that discrete vehicle riding around with this team. So you will literally be calling the people that are out riding around, that are seeing what you see, or the information that you want to get to them that's fresh. It'll be in their hands. And as they go off duty, they'll pass that phone to the next unit that comes on, and it'll be in their hands each and every day.
When do they start?
They start effective once this press conference is over. Pastor Reggie. I promise I didn't set him up. While I love him, I promise I didn't set him up in the audience to ask that question so that I could spike it. But the answer to the question is absolutely. That's the goal of this unit. They will not be answering service calls. They will not be generally bound to the radio. They will be available when they're working to respond to shots fired calls, to respond to shooting situations, to respond to any large group fights or potential group fights that are occurring in anybody's neighborhood. And otherwise, they will be driving around being proactive, following the lead of Detective Schaefer and Detective Nadsum, and they will be listening to you. So where you ask them to go, where you guide them, the tips and information that you put us onto discreetly and privately, whether it's a text, whether it's a phone call, will be the driving force of how this unit functions. And we're proud of that.
Amen.
I've got two questions. The first one is, can you give us an example of how you envision this unit, a real-life example of how this unit would successfully carry out its duties?
Absolutely. I mean, it might be, Schaefer, do you want to handle this one? Because he can just tell you his general work day.
I can tell you a real-life example. Over the past year, someone calls Commissioner Muldrow, says there's two guys on this corner, they both have firearms. He calls us, passes that information on to us, and we go out and arrest two individuals with firearms. So that has happened numerous times. So what we're doing now is just cutting out that middle guy, the commissioner, and it's going straight to these guys. Like you said, when you call 911, often it's a delayed response. You get this person and that person, and they call this person, and multiple times it's minutes. And you're well aware when someone shoots or has shots fired, they're not sticking around. They're jetting. So in this case, these guys will be on the street. They'll have the phone. They'll answer the phone. This is what's going on. This is the location. They can get there within sometimes seconds or often minutes.
Thank you.
The second question is, can we talk a little bit about funding? How much does this unit cost, and where is the funding coming from?
Thank you. That's a great question and a great segue. So right now, I'm eating it through our departmental budget as it stands. But thankfully, with the help of Governor Wolf and the state, we are looking at funding that's coming down the pike to support it. And prayerfully, here in the near future, this is part of the ARPA ask that we made through the ARPA funding that will be able to continue to support it moving forward. But at the present time, it will be coming out of my cost center, our general cost center for the police department. And it just so happens as I look around the room and I look in the faces of people that I know are here because I invited them because they lost someone, it speaks directly to the fact that right now there's no time to wait for more funding to get here, for more checks to arrive, for things to be approved. We needed to do this now because the people in this room and their families are that important.
Pastors, you hear the prayer concern. You hear the prayer concern. We pick that up. Thank you.
I appreciate it because obviously sustainability is always an issue. So to be able to keep it up and running moving forward, we have to make sure that the financing is right. But the work product that we expect to come out of this team and the influence and the impact that that will have in our neighborhoods and the people that want to live here, the people that do live here, the people that continue to be proud of York, will make it all worthwhile. Thank you.
Actually, let me, hold on, I'm sorry, can I just add something to that? I wanted to make sure folks understood. These, at this moment, these are not additional officers yet. However, we have City Council and I approved 2 additional new police officers in the budget. We're getting another additional new 2 new additional police officers through the federal COPS grant. And then WellSpan is providing us with 3 additional officers to work at York Hospital for issues that go on there in the emergency room when things happen. So I think that is an additional 7 police officers that will be added to the force this year as well. So these folks aren't really incurring a lot of additional costs because they're already on the force, but we will be adding 7 more police officers to the force within the coming months.
And I want to make sure I jump right back to one of my mentors, and I love you to death, Brother Tony. Absolutely. And what I would say is one that was supposed to. You're 100% right. You are, Tone, you know, we've had these conversations a lot, and you are, these barbershop conversations, and you are absolutely 100% right. And thankfully, if Miss Tiff, if you can stand up, just real quick, I know you was, yeah. Thankfully, we have great resources and great partners and great additions to the way we work, like Miss Tiff, our credible messenger, Miss Brielle, Miss Endai, if you can stand up, Miss Juanita, if you can stand up. Resources and partners that are part of what we do as an initiative, part of how we function. Like I said, that multi-pronged approach, the prevention piece that are in the houses on a daily basis, that are in the schools, that are in the neighborhoods, working with families, talking to the kids, responding to the hospital, actually speaking with the young men post-incident. Each and every day, we have a team that's there that we're working on getting Officer Palmer, our juvenile engagement officer, Officer Bree Wilson, who obviously she's hometown, that we were able to bring back, that we have the resources that are starting to do the outreach, starting to do the work, doing the connection pieces that need to be done. Thank you guys. I don't want to have you guys stand up all day, but making sure that we're in those homes, starting to speak to the heart of those parents and those kids, trying to make that difference. So we're heading in the right direction, Tone. And with respect to the diversity piece, we have a couple individuals who aren't here today. One's in court, the other one worked third shift, and she wasn't available to actually be here for the press conference, that are also part of this team. And like the mayor said, we're from 9% as a department as a whole, which meant there was only a few minorities to go around, being able to get that to 20% overall. And then now with this new wave of new hires and the changes that we've made even in our testing process, we are actually on pace to have several minorities in the academy. We had the most diverse police testing platform I've ever seen. I believe half of the candidates that tested were minority. And as we bring on this next wave of 10, you'll continue to see our department continue to reflect our neighborhoods, either through the race, nationality, sexual preference, or however it would be, but also in individuals who are from this community. As we're now proudly, I'm happy and honored to say we've been able to change our testing process, and we're now actually giving preference points to city residents, to people that are actually from here, which will also, whether they're black, white, Hispanic, male, female, gay, straight, whatever, is also going to help be reflective in the department and the officers that we're putting out on the street. So we are absolutely heading in the right direction, Tone, and I'm proud of the work we've been able to do in 1 year. Give us another couple years. Brother Steve. I'm sorry, Brother Chuck, I'm sorry. I said Steve Orr, that's the wrong Orr. You're 100% right, and that's, again, why our focus, and thanks to people like Ms. Orr, our focus has also changed. Another one of those pillars is early intervention. And we're now in the schools, we now have teams of people that are working with the youth directly to help them make better decisions despite the home environments that they go home to. We're working on making sure that they get loved up and they're supported and they're surrounded and they're offered a different direction, offered a different focus, offered a different example of how things can be and what they can become, even in a community like York, despite what they may see at home. So, Brother Chuck, we are also, I'm proud to say, we're heading in the right direction with that too, with partnerships like Stick and Move Boxing that we brought on as a department, the computer lab program that we've been able to get up and running, and all the wonderful things that we're looking to do with Diaz. Thank you so much. Moving forward to be able to continue to connect and be able to surmount or get over some of those negative influences in the home environment. So we're working from every angle. Just like the song said, we're surrounded. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody for coming out.